Good afternoon, assalamu alaikum, and welcome to the Nature Show with me, your host, Raheed Salam, on Inspire FM, 105.1 FM. This is our third week. Aaron, we made it to 3 weeks. Can you believe that?
I'm so proud of us, honestly.
I'm so proud of us too. So, assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to the Nature Show. So the Nature Show is the place where we connect with nature in a studio. Surrounded by the materials of nature. So the Nature Show is an opportunity for us as Lutonians, as a South Asian Muslim man, as a Black Christian young man,
Yes, sir.
and as and Talia, our guest. Talia, I don't know if you're a person
Hi.
of faith, but that doesn't matter here or there. But this is the place where we discuss nature from the perspective of our identity, but also from the perspective of faith and culture as well. And we're really, really pleased that everybody's here. We are live on the radio. We are also streaming live on the Inspire FM Facebook page, and we're also streaming on our YouTube page. So once this show is complete, you can catch us on the repeat on the Inspire FM website, on our Facebook page, and on our YouTube page, if you'd like to do that. If you want to get in contact with us and talk to us, myself, Aaron or Talia, about the Nature Show, which this week is all about green spaces and young people. So we've done our introductory show. Last week we did water and blue spaces. This week we're in the green, people. We're in the green. So we're talking about nature and connecting with young people, with two amazing young people that we've got in the studio. So that's what we're doing today. If you want to phone in, you can grab us on 01582 481 822, or you can drop us a text on 07779 481 822. And before we get into it, I want to give a shout out to three lovely people. My very good friend Raheem up in Sundon Park, who whilst driving said, "Was that you on the radio the other day?" And I said, "Yep, it was me on the radio." So hello to Raheem. Hello to my good friend Osman in Berry Park, who's also a listener, and to the wonderful Sabah Ayanur, who is also hopefully listening to the Nature Show. So guys, welcome to the show. Aaron, how's your week been?
It's been really good, thank you. It's been a busy one, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Amazing. What have you been up to?
I mean,
in green spaces.
In green spaces. Okay, that's a challenge. So today was Wildlife Trust Bushcraft Day. So myself and Talia are running a few activities for just local kids around Luton, involving crafting with nature, using charcoal to make pencils and paints.
Wow. Amazing. And Talia, welcome to Inspire FM.
Hi, thank you for the welcome.
No, not at all.
Exciting.
Not at all. So pleased to have you here. So you're born and bred in Luton?
Yes.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
And you work in nature.
I do. I work with the Wildlife Trust in the minute alongside Aaron for
Fantastic.
a 6-month traineeship, and very fortunate to have been started in that.
Amazing. Really, really good to have you. Really good to have you. So we'll dig into that in a short while. But for the listeners, I just wanted to start off and give the context of why nature is really important, in particular with green spaces. And I've picked up a couple of things here for our listeners to consider. And the first thing is that green spaces are all over Christian ideology and also Islamic ideology. And in the Quran connects the Quran in, this is not a quote from the Quran, but the Quran does connect with green spaces, with paradise, with serenity and life. And the color green is really important and really symbolic. There's green all around us. So the color green has got an inference within Islam, as it has, and the Quran really talks about the makeup of the earth and the makeup of the green space of the earth being one whereby it provides a balance between nature, and its green is a symbol of paradise. We know this because in the Quran often talks about the depiction of heaven in terms of gardens where rivers flow beneath it, and the concept of people coming from all over the place. We were made of tribes and nations so that we could get to know one another, the lushness of the greenness, the pastures and the environment. It's all there. And then also the symbolism of green being the color of life. And we know on a molecular level, you can't grow stuff unless you've got this chloroplast, unless you've got chloroplasts and chlorophylls, which give the green color of the leaves, which is really important. And autumn and spring are my favorite times of the year.
Wow.
Actually, because of the changing of the colors, you know, the autumn, which goes into the reddy, the brown, the yellow. I absolutely love that. And also spring, when we actually get into green. And of course, just very quickly to say that green was the preferred color of the Blessed Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. And it's an Islamic consideration to give due reference to the color green. We know that the Prophet's mosque in Medina, the dome is in green. Masjid al-Aqsa and many other mosques around the world have a green dome. So there's a lot of green there. So that's just the Islamic tradition. I feel like that was quite a lot.
I learned a lot though.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. So Aaron, just very quickly, just ask about green spaces and nature and your connectivity, if you can, from either from a biblical or from a personal perspective.
I will give you a little bit of both, actually, Raheed. I mean, I feel like green spaces is a place of recharge, and we see that all across, you know, scripture. But I think I'd go to Psalms 23, and personally, that's what resonates with me. David writes, "The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul." He goes on for quite a while. But the point I wanted to add is that idea of peace and recharge and a place of rest and safety is in green space. And I think I very much resonate with that. If we're looking at, you know, the world being good and creation being new and restored, it's with green spaces. And for myself, I think that's kind of how I got into conservation. It's that idea of helping things be the intended image that they should be before, you know, corruption came into things in terms of the environment.
Absolutely. Oh, that was quite deep.
Thank you.
That was profound. I feel like I feel like I need to go on a nature walk, people. So Talia, you spend a lot of time in green spaces. Tell us perhaps about how did you get into nature? What was the influence point for you as a young person growing up in Luton? Was it an educational thing? Was it a sporty thing? How did that happen?
Well, I was actually telling Aaron this story the other day because I always look back and I think it's really funny. I remember when I was in year 1 or 2, I don't even know what kind of age that would be, but
is that like 3, 4?
Maybe
4 or
quite,
5?
maybe a bit older. Yeah, maybe 5. It's quite small. I remember we had an assembly and it was talking about the Amazon rainforest and the impacts of palm oil and deforestation. And bear in mind, we're talking about 5-year-olds. It was very early, you know, just touching on the subject.
Yeah.
And I was outraged. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe people must not know about this. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna make a poster, and that will fix it. Okay. So I went home. I made a poster, said "Save the Rainforest." Little picture of a tree. Put it in my bedroom window, and I was like, my work here is done, sorted. And yeah, I had one neighbor come up to me and say that they saw it, and I was so happy. I was like, oh,
fantastic,
perfect. I've influenced it, and since then I just have absolutely loved nature. I was a big zoo kid as well, so
oh, were you?
Yeah,
Me too.
big into animals. So I think that was a really good kind of entrance point into the sector.
We'll talk about your pets later.
Oh gosh, there's a lot.
Oh yeah,
you've got a lot of pets. But that's really amazing. And do you know what? As a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old who's out there thinking about being connecting with nature, that one small act, it might seem quite insignificant, but it's really profound. It's really important, right? That first step that you take, it's really huge. It's really huge. Wow. So you two have had quite a similar educational journey, life journey.
Really small.
So do you know what? I'm just going to sit back for 5 minutes and you two talk about why it is that you got involved in nature beyond your teens and beyond. So I'm just going to sit back and listen to this. And just before I do that, if anybody would like to call in and give us their first story of connecting with nature, it's 01582 481 822 or 0779 481 822. I'm hoping the wonderful Matt Sutcliffe, who's going to be with us next week, might also give us a call, because me and Matt, we have the odd flapjack and chew the fat around when we're walking around. So, but you guys take it away.
Right. I mean, I can go first, but I feel like
it's up to you.
We have a lot in common, though. I must say. So we both went to the same nursery.
That's where it starts.
Oh, you didn't?
Oh, we really did. I kid you not. And I feel like Grassmere is such a nature nursery
That is true, definitely.
Like they kept pets, so we had guinea pigs, giant African land snails, there were caterpillars and
We had an
butterflies.
orchard on
Oh,
site as
yes.
well that we got to run around in when we were lucky.
So they really immersed us in nature from like day one, and I feel like that's a lot of my formative memories of, you know, being out and playing with these guinea pigs or handling snails or hanging out with the butterflies. And I think that fascination was kind of built in from then onwards, or whether it was, you know, lying in a bed of stuffed animals in the head teacher's room.
Wow. That sounds pretty idyllic.
Yeah.
Really good. Really good. So you guys didn't know each other in nursery, right?
No,
Not
no.
as far as I know.
No, yeah, I don't have any memories at least.
I don't either, but we could, I don't know.
But no, so we met kind of for the first time about 2 months ago when we
Yeah.
started the traineeship,
Wow.
and then kind of unfolded our stories and realized that there were so many links and we just hadn't come across each other's paths
Yeah, like
yet.
1 degree of separation at all times.
Yeah,
It's so
exactly.
strange.
But yeah, we went to the same university. So I was going to say I recently graduated. It's
You
been
did.
over a year
It's
now,
still
but
recent.
it still feels I'm still mentally there. So I graduated from a zoo biology degree at Nottingham Trent
Fantastic.
University. And Aaron, yourself, you did zoology.
That's right. Graduating December 17th. Exciting times.
What's the difference between zoo
I knew
biology
this
and
question would come
zoology?
up. There's not a lot. There's a lot of overlap. A couple of different modules.
That's about it.
Different title, but there was a lot of overlap.
I was going to
So,
say, you do more practical things in terms of
yeah, I think you have a bit of more
how
science,
species, and we're a bit more sciencey and
Yeah,
a bit more
slightly.
focused on wildlife.
but it's very similar.
There's
And
about
we
3
had
modules
a
difference.
slight focus on zoo and exotic species.
Yeah.
And you were a bit more broad, but
Wildlife,
more or
yeah.
less kind of the same degree.
Pretty much.
Wow. And can I ask, did your educational journey help you to think, because it's academic, right? But does it also inculcate that feeling that you want to be more connected with nature? You want to be more in green spaces, whether that's land management or understanding habitat, or specifically around nature recovery or conservation, or taking care of animals, or jumping in a river?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. For me, going into the degree, I went in because I was so interested in animals, and that's ultimately where I was thinking my career was going to take me. But then the more that I kind of learned at uni, you start to realize in order to be able to have those kind of jobs, we have to protect and conserve it. And that all relates back to nature and climate, and it kind of took me down that path. I don't know if you had a similar experience.
I mean, pretty much. I came from college kind of just wanting to hang out with animals.
Yeah.
But like yourself, I kind of got the understanding that there was more to it. There's that conservation. And if you really want to be out in the jungle somewhere, you know, face to face with a tiger, you've got to be doing something meaningful while you're there, as opposed to just, you know, a flight.
Exactly. And in my final year of my degree, I had a trip to South Africa,
Wow.
and we did some in situ rhino conservation. And I think that was like the main turning point where I was like, and I would love to work abroad, but when you think about wildlife conservation, I think I have looked a lot more locally and been like, there's so much to do everywhere, especially in the local space. So that's kind of what got me into the current role that we're in.
So you mentioned going to South Africa and rhino conservation. I know you said conversation. Conservation.
I
there.
wish.
And yeah, absolutely. Talk to the animals. Yes. When you think about rhinoceros conservation and you think about rhinoceros in this country,
very different.
I immediately think Whipsnade Zoo.
Yeah.
And I must admit, last time I went to Whipsnade Zoo, there was a rhinoceros, and the rhinoceros was huge and fierce, and also relieving itself. So what? How can you practice if you go into South Africa and you think about rhinoceros conservation and you come back here? What do you guys meaningfully do when you think about green spaces and the sorts of activities that you do? For any of our listeners who are thinking, we'd love to be on this journey.
Yeah.
What does a day in the life of your work look like?
I mean, do you want to go first, or I can?
Take it away.
It's super varied. I was going to say we work with communities and education team, but that doesn't stop us getting hands-on and practical and actively managing and maintaining habitat. It's funny, when we talk about rhinos in the UK, we think of something completely far off and abstract and doesn't look like it quite belongs, but our environments are missing these big, large grazing animals like rhino. Yeah.
But close enough.
Yeah, like bison, like moose, elk, all these mad things you think you'd see at a zoo, but they have a place here in our environment. So sometimes we're replicating that work, whether it's by bashing scrub or felling trees and things like that, really.
And why would you bash, scrub, or fell a tree?
It can seem a bit counterintuitive, can't it?
Yeah.
But a lot of it is to make space for new things to come forward. So as much as trees are amazing, for example, there also has to be space for the grassland to come forward as well.
Sure.
And a lot of new species come from that kind of environment. So it's about, a lot of it's about balance, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, nature loves diversity,
Yeah.
and sometimes we're missing that, where we don't have animals acting in the land, and we have to take that place.
So I sometimes think that leave nature alone, it will take care
Yeah.
of itself. And that to a certain degree is true.
Mm-hmm.
But why is it that the land in and around Luton, around Bedfordshire, needs managing? What is it that has happened to it that we need to manage it?
Okay, so this isn't just a Luton, Bedfordshire. This is a England and around the world kind of problem, but especially England is one of the most nature depleted countries in the world. I think we're like 181st or something dastardly like that. And we're missing a lot of the key parts in the habitat, in the ecosystem to take care of things. You know, for example, if we did have these big rhinoceros-like animals out in our, you know, Warden Hill or somewhere mad like that, managing different plants, whether it's grazing or stomping down different things or felling trees, we wouldn't need to step in. But where that isn't there, we do have to step in.
So are you saying that because there's 220,000 odd people living in Luton and we've created this urban jungle, that what we have done is we have imbalanced nature?
Kind of, yeah, but it's not that there can't be coexistence. I think there can be. We're just not used to like wildlife on our doorstep. It'd be strange if you went for a walk, you know, on Bradgers Hill and you're like, oh my gosh, there's horses here. I mean, there are, but could you imagine that just being the norm
Yeah.
in parks and green spaces? Horses, cattle, deer, it'd be strange.
Hitting a deer with your car is bad enough. Hitting a moose with your car is a very different
That's worse for
story.
you, actually. Yeah, they tell you to swerve if that happens.
I'm swerving no matter what.
God bless you.
I'm not stopping to think about that too much. So is it actually the relationship between humans and nature that needs preserving and needs more thought in terms of, you know, the green spaces around us, the animals, the butterflies, the birds, the rivers, etc.? Is that the key thing in terms of your work?
In terms of our work, I'd say, yeah, we are the Wildlife Trust, and we're here to protect wildlife, their environment, their habitat, and ultimately make sure that, you know, we can leave nature to itself and it will function. However, where we're not in a position to do that, we often find ourselves stepping in. But a lot of the things we do could be replicated by the wildlife if they were here.
I mean, we specifically work within the communities and education team. So a lot of what we're doing is about educating people on that kind of thing, especially from a young age.
Oh, yeah.
Trying not to be too morbid, because, you know, and just get people to understand that it is about that balance and that respect and relationship with nature that they need to consider moving forward.
Exactly.
Wow, that sounds pretty cool. Would anybody like to speak to us or tell us about your earliest experience with nature, or something that you'd like to know or learn or hear from our wonderful guests today? You can call us on 01582 481 822 or message me on 07779 481 822. So I had a bit of a follow-up question for both of you, and that is, what do you feel when you're in a green space?
Peace.
That's a really good one. Yeah.
Clarity, peace is what I'd say the most, definitely. And yeah, just relaxed and kind of at one with everything.
And what does that peacefulness actually feel like for you?
Just kind of slowing down and noticing the little things that you wouldn't notice kind of day to day. And I think it's still easy, like on the days we're not working, just to go about your day, go into town, go for a drive, do this, kind of turn off. And when we have a day where we're out working in a green space, I take a second, I'm like, whoa, there's so many different species of trees around us that we're having to learn for the traineeship.
Yeah, that's true.
So many different, you know, tiny little inverts that you see when you look a little bit closer to the ground. And I think it's just about slowing down and being mindful.
Wow. And yeah, I think we're quite busy people. We're very we're very social beings, humans. We're very social.
Yeah, we're a social species.
Having that interaction. But I guess you're talking about a different kind of interaction when you are taking in, you know, you are using your senses, you know, when you're feeling stuff, when you're hearing stuff, when you're seeing stuff, when you're sniffing stuff. And that is you don't necessarily get those sights, those sounds, those smells if you're in St. George's Square,
Not at
or
all.
if you're, you know, up Dallowed Road and you're getting car fumes or whatever else it is. It doesn't quite happen, but
Doesn't hit the
I guess
same.
you
No.
do get that difference as well. Aaron, what are your senses saying when you're connected with nature?
It's a relaxation experience for me. It's nice to just switch my brain off and be worried about how the birds sound, or, you know, like Talia said, what kind of bugs can you see, or just silence, just the peace of it all. Because it's very rare. Like you said, we're quite busy people and we don't like doing nothing. So it's very rare that we, you know, take the time to just relax and just switch off. And for me, it's green space serves a way to really do that, switch off and reconnect and kind of ground myself. I think as a man of faith, it makes me want to pray, 'cause I'm like, wow, God's good. Just looking around, I'm impressed.
Yeah, absolutely. We absolutely cannot do anything like that. And I know that we've been for walks up in and around the hills around Luton, and when you look down on Luton, you think to yourself, oh, so that's where I was,
Yeah.
or that's where I live, or that's where I'm at, and it feels completely different, but it's only a stone's throw away. Well, more than one stone's throw away.
You got a good arm. I think
Yeah,
you got
yeah.
No,
that.
I've got a dodgy shoulder now. It used to be quite good, but that's a different story. Well, actually, that's a really interesting segue, because my earliest memory of green spaces and nature was playing sport.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I've said the story before. I was forever playing football, had a battle ball in my hand, and I was going out into nature. And I guess the three, possibly four things that I was connected to when I was in nature was, number one, having green knees, because I was forever sliding around. So, you know, it was that. And with that came the smell of the grass or
Yeah.
the meadow, or freshly cut grass if it was in a sports field. The second thing was the little tiny bits of nature you get, whether that was butterflies, whether that was bees, whether that was worms, a lot of worms.
Lot of
Oh yeah.
worms.
On a rainy day, definitely.
Absolutely. So that was the second thing. And the third thing, if I can, which is perhaps a little bit more morbid, unfortunately, is the mess. Whether or not
Oh,
that
right.
was dog mess, or whether that was, you know, people just leaving stuff around and not really caring for it. Yeah, it's never fun when you're playing football and you step in something that you don't want to step in, or you come across some glass, or you come across
Oh,
some
yeah.
rubbish. And I guess that's the bit of the unfortunate bit. And we haven't quite grasped how to keep our green spaces better protected.
Mhm.
And I guess that's one of the things that we do need to do. So you two have both led walks as well, and you do lead walks. How do you lead a walk?
I mean, first you get to know the area. I think that's the most important thing. If you've got a route for people, you've got to, you know, let them know why this area is interesting. And what you find is when you're in these green spaces, there's such like a fun natural history, or if it's like a distribution of the plants or the wildlife, and you kind of see your interest within it. Especially like, let's say you're by the river, you start talking to people about crayfish, and you know, these are big like lobster-shaped animals that get about a foot long. And when you tell people, they're quite shocked. They're like, wow, I didn't know we had this kind of wildlife in Luton. And it's kind of sharing that engagement. But also there's the health and safety element. It's managing people. It's knowing your route is safe and all of these logistical things. But fundamentally, just bringing people into nature and connecting and managing that. And yeah, being a custodian.
Absolutely. Talia, what are some of the challenges when you are taking groups out for a walk, or taking groups out to do a little bit of work? Because you said it is about engagement and education
Yeah.
at the same time.
I think the walk that I recently went on, which was around the Riverside Park area in Luton,
Okay.
was lovely, so lovely. And we had Connie leading that walk. She's a local expert, so it was so interesting to hear.
Shout
from
out to
her.
Connie Depp,
Love
who
Connie.
is Orchard Lady and runs a fantastic project called the Edible Hightown Project. And what she doesn't know about growing food, orchards, and the like
Apples.
is not worth knowing.
Exactly.
Well,
Couldn't agree more.
well, it is worth knowing, but she knows it better than most.
But yeah,
Shout out to Connie.
she was leading that walk, and it was she's so insightful. It was so amazing. We actually saw a crayfish on that walk. One of the first I've seen in Luton of that size. It was absolutely huge. I've shown you the video. It was crazy. I think one of the challenges I found from that experience was the amount of litter around, and it was hard to kind of motivate and inspire the group when you're walking around. You're just seeing boxes of chips and drinks thrown left, right, and centre. beer cans, all sorts of stuff. And with the crayfish as well, it's amazing to see that kind of thing and be like, oh my gosh, we have this in Luton, that's insane. And it's like, yeah, guys, actually it's invasive and we shouldn't have it. And you're actually meant to kill them if you ever catch one. So it's kind of that balance between wanting to inspire people and excite them, but then there is kind of a having to be responsible side to things as well.
Absolutely. So the stewardship around what has been given to us. We're going to go to a break in about 15 seconds, but that has been fantastic. I wasn't expecting some of that conversation to go the way it did, but that's the wonderful thing about having wonderful people. I'm Raheed. I'm on Inspire FM talking on the Nature Show. We're going to take a 4-minute break and then we'll be back again to talk with you again shortly.
This program will continue after the break. Continue listening to Inspire FM. Inspire FM.
Inspire 105.1 FM.
सूरज की किरणों से चमके सारा जहां, इंस्पायर एफएम की लहरों से महके सारा समा, रहे आपके साथ यहां और वहां, शेयर रेडियो इंस्पायर एफएम है।
Luton Council is consulting on plans to reduce congestion and improve safety in the Bury Park area. The public consultation runs until midnight on Sunday, the 9th of November. Your feedback will help shape the final decisions and ensure the needs of the community are fully considered. Have your say now. Search Bury Park Red Route Consultation.
Did you see that guy on TV?
What, that no comment guy?
Yeah, he was sick. What was his name?
I think it was Atiq Malik.
Yeah, Atiq Malik of Liberty Law Solicitors. Atiq Malik heads up the criminal law team at Liberty Law Solicitors, specialising in everything from serious crime down to road traffic offences.
To find out more or for a free telephone consultation, call 01582 459955.
Liberty Law, there when you need us most.
And there's a tradition in which the Prophet ﷺ said that God has 100 parts of mercy. 99 he has retained in his presence, and 1 part he has allowed to descend to the dunya. And it is that 1 part that a mother nurses her child with, that the mare raises her hoof from stepping on her foal. So every act of mercy in this world is only from that 1 part. And the 99 have been, remain in the divine presence for the day of judgment.
A large and elegant wedding and events venue in the heart of Luton, catering for up to 1,200 guests, with a 5-star food hygiene rating, plenty of parking, bridal suite, family rooms and prayer facilities. Crescent Hall's the perfect venue for your wedding, events, parties and conferences. We have some great offers for summer. Contact us to find out more. Call 01582 723386. Email bookings@crescenthall.co.uk or search for us online and social media. Crescent Hall, Luton. Conditions apply.
Imagine facing a brutal winter without shelter and under constant attack. From the flood victims in Pakistan to the refugees from Syria, Yemen and Gaza, Families Relief is distributing essential winter aid worldwide to help the poor and needy with poverty, disease and basic necessities. Together, we can save lives. Donate now by calling 0114 365 4454 or visit familiesrelief.org.uk. Act now to make a difference.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is I Am Khalid. You are tuned into the Rise and Shine show with Tariq. Keep it locked.
Does your car sound like this on the school run? Want to change that? Then tune into the Rise and Shine show with Brother T. Sing along to awesome nasheeds, answer our puzzling riddles, and tell us what you think of our newest events. The Rise and Shine show, every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m.
From the studios of Inspire FM, the time is now 5:30.
Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum. This is Raheed on the Nature Show on Inspire FM 105.1 FM. I must say, give a shout out to the team at Inspire FM. I absolutely love our little jingle that comes through with the birds and the nature sounds. It's absolutely delightful. Thank you, Waj. Thank you, Asim. Thank you, Eunice. And the rest of them, you're all amazing. So this is me, Raheed, on the Nature Show with the wonderful Aaron Matthew and the wonderful Talia, who are two people that have been sort of dovetailing one another since nursery school, and did a very similar course at college and university, and now they work together. This is crazy, but lovely crazy. So we are talking all about green spaces today and custodianship of green spaces, because we do absolutely reflect and understand on the fact that the earth has been given to us as a place of rest, as a place of play, and actually as a place that we can connect with, so that we can use it for our own good, and also for stewardship, because we do have a responsibility in when it comes to taking care of green spaces and nature and protecting our physical environment, the animals, the plants, the trees, the water. And this is often spoken about quite a lot in the teachings of the Quran and the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And therefore conservation and sustainability is really important. And it's amazing that we've got two young people who are doing conservation and sustainability as part of their role, as part of their life. So guys, you guys are going to take it away a little bit in terms of why and how you connect with nature. So I'm going to let you guys discuss the importance of why you guys connect with nature a little bit, and then we'll dig a little bit deeper. But over to you, Aaron.
Right. I mean, I'd say personally, I found the importance in three main levels. As a health and wellness thing, physically, I like, being able to relax and decompress. And then there's the health and wellness element spiritually. As a Christian, I'm reminded to pray. I'm reminded of creation. I'm reminded of the gift I've been given when out in nature. It's very easy to forget all these things when I'm in my room. And then I think the third thing is just interest. I am animal crazy. Talia will tell you, having worked with me for about a month, it's all we talk about. Like there's not 5 minutes an animal doesn't come up. So for me, that's where the joy is. We could be in the middle of a session. I'm like, oh my gosh, Talia, did you hear those parakeets? And I'm like, I'm excited as could be. So that's kind of the importance for me, but I can't stress that enough for other people, that health and well-being element, because it's something we so easily overlook in our busy lives. What about you, Talia?
Absolutely. I think it sounds kind of bad to say, but there's also a bit of an ego element as well. Like spending time out in nature and doing something good, making like a bit of a tangible difference. You come home and you feel good about yourself.
True.
And I think that as well, I can come home and feel like I can switch off a bit because I've done something good today.
Yeah, I get you.
I've prioritized my mental health, my physical health. I've helped the planet. Now I kind of have like a license to relax, if that makes sense.
That's good.
So part of my work is working in this green sector, and I was sat in a room with 4 other people today, and we were just surrounded by the whirring sound of the printer going off and our laptops and our light. And, a couple of my colleagues also had lunch at their desk. And I was thinking, we're not built for sitting around like this.
Yeah.
I know we're sat in the studio, etc., but it's always much nicer when you're out and about and you're doing that. So for example, you mentioned prayer. I love praying when I'm in green spaces. Absolutely divine. And just also that feeling of tranquility you get when you're with nature. Talia, you're a zookeeper. you've got a lot of animals. So you live with animals all the time.
All sorts. I was making a joke with Aaron earlier, saying my house is a bit like Noah's Ark. I happen to have like 2 of every single same.
Have you?
So, yeah.
Is it okay if you share what you've got?
Of course. So currently I have 2 dogs, 2 cats, 2 snakes, which is a bit rogue.
Wow.
2 giant African land snails as well, and only 1 turtle at the minute, him yellow belly slider. But growing up, when I got into animals and I was interested in working with animals long term, I was really into exotic species and exotic keeping.
Yeah.
So I actually have in the past had a tarantula, a blue tongue skink as well, which is a type of lizard, really, really common in Australia, but not in this country. Fish as well, of course. hamsters, kind of the more basic ones, I guess. But all sorts.
You are animal lady.
Yeah, bit crazy, I guess.
So not only do you like going out to nature, you bring nature home. Just a question about having different types of animals. A couple of questions, if I may. Number one, how much of your time does it take up? And number two, is it difficult taking care of the species that you've mentioned?
Yeah, I'd say. So at the minute, everything I have is fairly low maintenance. I can't lie. The snakes that I have, for example, they eat once a week. They poop once a week. So they kind of just do their own thing. Mainly that's because when I went to uni, I dialed it back a little bit because I didn't want to leave everything to my lovely mum. You know, having to deal with feeding crickets to my tarantula and, you know, all that kind of thing.
Wow.
But yeah, when I kind of at the height of my hobby of keeping them, it was very much morning routine, evening routine, misting the tanks, trying to keep their environments as realistic as possible, basically. And expensive too, a lot of heating and lighting equipment, expensive food, all of that sort of thing. So it's a big commitment, definitely. You do your research before getting into it for sure.
Wow, that sounds fascinating. That sounds really fascinating, really fascinating. Have you ever had any pets?
I've had a few. I wasn't as successful as Talia because I feel like you mastered the art of, please can I get her? Please can I get her? I wasn't.
My mum just gave up. She was like, oh, whatever.
So I had to beg and plead for 9 years, and my parents, on my 9th birthday, took me to Pets at Home, and they're like, well, you have two options. The two smallest things we can find. You can either get yourself a dwarf hamster or a gerbil. Now, I didn't want to tell them that gerbils are the same size as regular hamsters. I thought, you know what? They haven't noticed. I'm just going to run with it. So that's exactly what I did. I had 2 gerbils. And after that, they're like, oh, pretty good at this. I was like, well, yeah, I've been rabbiting on about it for like the last decade. But, you know, I can get something bigger. So from there,
I love that pun, rabbiting on about it.
It's actually I did. Right. I moved on to guinea pigs and then finally rabbits. But then I was going to say after like secondary school and knowing I wasn't going to be at college in Luton, I thought I don't want to leave all the care to you guys who aren't animal people. You know, you have to warm up to this fuzzy thing that I've bought inside the house, unfortunately. So yeah, a fair few, but not as many as Talia. I would love more pets, but I would also have to have my own place.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair.
Okay, so you haven't worked out quite as much how to
run the ark? No.
That one. I was going to say something else, but that works as well. That works as well. So as part of the work that I've been doing with young people for a long time now is mostly been educational, including the Youth Climate Conference that we put on once a year. Shout out to my very able and amazing friends and colleagues, Simra, Labiba, Hamna, and all the other people. I'm not going to mention all of them. There's quite a few, but the leaders certainly of the Youth Climate Conference, who all have done a lot of work. And I guess that inspiration first came about from Greta Thunberg, and the way in which Greta Thunberg, young Swedish lady at the age of, I think she 12 or 13, 12, 13, she decided that, you know, that the world was not listening to what effectively is the climate crisis, and she took a stance and went and sat outside local town hall, I believe, with her sign, just talking about the devastation of what we are doing to the planet. And Greta Thunberg was an inspiration to a lot of people, and now has developed herself to be a global icon as a young person who's dealing with the nature and climate crises. But I wanted to ask you guys, where are the gaps in terms of why and how more people should be engaging with green spaces, nature, conservation? What and why and how?
I think it's a David Attenborough quote that says, like, what we can't understand, we can't begin to protect and conserve.
Oh,
and
I know the quote, yeah.
The education element is a massive, massive part of that. And I think as well, having spoken to people at my uni, people that I was friends with, that I lived with, there is a little bit of the thought process of, well, why should I change my ways or be doing more if other people aren't? And I think it's so important for people to realize that their own individual impact is has an impact, and it's so important, and everyone banding together is what enacts real change. So as much as, you know, doing one small act doesn't feel huge, it definitely is, and every little adds together.
True, very true. And I think we have been somewhat protected in the West in that we haven't had, well, we have had, but we haven't had excessive nature issues. Yes, we have had flash flooding. We have had a lot of dry months. We have had, you know, fires starting, including over in Pope's Meadow. Just fires have started just like that in Pope's Meadow. I think it was 3 years ago now. So there have been instances of that. There is a scarcity of water and food produce. And so there is risk associated with water, with food, with green spaces, etc. And so perhaps, I don't want to say the chickens are coming home to roost, but I just did. But I think it is becoming more relevant to us now. But it does also feel quite late in the day. It's certainly late in the day for many other people in countries in and around the equator, including countries like India, Pakistan, Jamaica.
Yeah, especially that hurricane.
Really hope that people of Jamaica are doing okay. Winds of around 130, 140 miles per hour.
Worst hurricane they've been hit with in almost 200 years. Category 5.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's just, I mean, it's going to take a lot to get Jamaica back on its feet. And we do wish all the people of Jamaica safety, prosperity, good health, and you know, hope everything gets better there. But what's the gap, Aaron? How can we get more involved in nature? Talia there has said it's very much about connecting through education and having that physical experience. How can more people have that experience and have that education?
I was going to say, Talia touched on education and personal responsibility, which I think is a big one. We look at the environment and understand that we have a role to play, but there's also personal benefit that we don't think about. You know, in a previous episode, Raheed, you mentioned going to the beach and that being connected with nature. And we don't often frame it like that, but that's what that is. And I feel like, you know, if something was happening to the beach, we'd all rally together to be like, nope, not on our pier, you've lost your mind. However, comparatively, if I said that about a park or a green space that you've never been to, never visited, you'd have no want to. So I think the thing is, it's connection, it's establishing that relationship and you feeling the personal benefits of it, for whatever that looks like for you. If it's taking photos, if it's playing sport, if it's looking at animals like me and Talia, or, you know, whatever the case may be, it's finding a way to connect and knowing that there's something interesting there. For example, I told people, you know, there's horses up in Bradges Hill, and they were like, oh my gosh, let's go feed horses. And I was like, yeah, see, that's something you can do around Luton, and you wouldn't think about it, and you remember the site more and want to go back. Connection.
Absolutely. I fully agree with that. I fully agree with that. Talia, you mentioned earlier on that sometimes people, and it's not just young people, it's any person really, living in the UK, living in Western society, living in Luton, that sometimes perhaps we can get a little bit apathetic in that, oh, it's not my problem.
Yeah.
How can we break through that apathy barrier, that, oh, it's not my problems, somebody else will fix it?
I do think, and you touched on it as well earlier, is that, oh, it seems so far away. Oh, it's happening in Jamaica, but how does that impact me? And I think it's, you know, we're all connected as a people and as a species. And I think it's having that empathy to realize that just because maybe that isn't directly affecting us right now, as in we don't have a current hurricane going on, that does impact us as a species. And it's so important that we all band together to kind of recognize climate change as a major issue. I think, you know, there's a lot of misinformation out there in the media and a lot of conflicting opinions. And I think especially young people don't know what to think, and it all seems a bit overwhelming. So they just kind of think, oh, I'm not going to worry about that.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, it can be a little bit morbid sometimes.
Definitely.
A lot of people saying, oh, well, you know, we've already messed the planet up. So
there's nothing more we can do.
Yeah, there's nothing more we can do. But that just isn't the case. There's so much more we can do. And we shouldn't just switch off to those kind of ideas.
If you would like to join in this conversation, you can call us on 01582 481 822 or text us on 0779 481 822. Raheem and Usman and Sabah, Aya, where are you? We want to hear from you. We want to hear from you and what you might have to say. One of the things that in my experience, having worked with lots of young people, is really this issue that we've got bigger problems.
Yeah.
Life is hard right now. We do understand that it's hard, and there's not a lot of money going around. There's a lot of pressure to keep up with various things. We perhaps don't have the resources or the opportunity to really connect with people. We recognize that in a town like Luton, that, you know, it's difficult, you know, if there is issues in society, which mean that, you know, you've got lots of other things to think about. And Aaron, you touched upon something earlier on, in that perhaps if we made more about the benefits, we would be more willing to try a little bit harder or try something different. Apologies, folks. I'm not trying to say that you're not trying harder, because life is difficult. But maybe the better phrase is try something different.
Yeah.
And see if you can do something different to have that a little bit. I mean, you've both given the answer, is that you've got to try something different to be out there. But also, Talia, you mentioned that, you know, the great quote from the wonderful Sir Attenborough, in that if you don't have that experience, then you're not going to be able to do it. So how can people have that leap of faith? Pardon the pun. But how can you have that leap of faith, either literally or in terms of your feeling? How does one start?
I think it's branching out from your own personal interest. For example, you know, I go to a church and they're not all nature fanatics like me, but if someone said we're doing a prayer walk or a prayer retreat, somewhere, people would go because you've connected your personal life, your interest, your faith, or your culture. Or even if it's like, speaking culturally, my family have a sports day every couple of years, and, you know, we all get out into a green space and have a good time.
Oh, that's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. I like it.
So it's little things like that. It's making small little adjustments, and it's minor changes that are sustainable within your routine. It's, you know, maybe you're walking home and you've got some free time. Maybe divert about 5 minutes out of the way to go somewhere greener as opposed to urban. And it's what you can manage and what you notice the benefits of, I'd say. But it's small steps all the way.
Definitely. Yeah. Talia, in your work and in your space, when you speak to your peers, what are the sorts of things that you notice work when you're speaking with people who don't traditionally or usually connect with green spaces?
I think explaining is a big part of it, because as we were saying, you know, when you don't have that education, people might just not understand and not realize, you know, why is littering bad? Like, why, if it has never impacted them, if it's not something that maybe their parents were super in tune with, wasn't instilled in them as a child, you know, that kind of explaining why we should have respect for nature and how it does have a knock-on effect, and how like one plastic bottle is actually going to be bad for our local community and that kind of thing. Making them have a bit of autonomy, if you know what I mean, over their sort of decisions that they make.
Yeah, that custodianship and thinking about what's important to me, and the risk reward benefit from that point of view is absolutely really important. Yeah, I can understand that. So what's going on locally that maybe people can do out there, guys? What's happening in Luton that people can get involved with right now?
Well, we have another walk in the park actually next week on Wednesday that Aaron's going to be at.
Hurrah.
That's over at Stopsley Common. So I think Matt is leading that walk.
I believe so, yeah.
So I'm assuming that's going to touch a bit on the history of that area. They've been doing some tree planting over there. So there's lots of like really exciting things to see. And it's very motivating to see that kind of space being turned around.
And also just hearing the bird sounds when you're out there
So
in the
much.
woodland, it's so different to walking around anywhere else. It really just have to sit and take it in. Another activity we have going on is a wood whittling workshop for wellness on Tuesday.
That rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
Wood whittling?
Yeah, wood whittling for wellness.
What is wood whittling?
It's a good question. It's like the art of kind of carving things out of wood.
Yeah, it's also been called calm carving.
Yes.
Calm carving. Wow. Calm carving or wood whittling, folks.
For wellness.
Wood whittling for wellness. That's a tongue twister.
So that's happening at Wardown Park. We've got 2 more sessions of that's running.
Okay.
And we've got local expert David Yules running those sessions.
That's right.
So he talks a lot about kind of the safety on correct carving techniques, knife grip, stuff like that, and kind of gives you enough skills that if you really enjoyed it and wanted to take that home to be practicing in your own time to connect with nature and just kind of relax, then you have those tools to take away with you. So yeah, exciting.
Definitely.
I've spoken to friends of mine who are in their slightly older age, sort of 40s, 50s, 60s, and they often have said to me that they did whittling as something that everybody just did when they were slightly younger.
Oh, really?
Whether that was Cubs or Scouts or what
Oh.
is traditionally known as DAV today, although the DAV has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe these are the sorts of things that we've sort of we've educated ourselves to be out of these spaces, and now it's a question of just turning a corner and coming back round.
Yeah.
Do you Talia think that people, and this is anybody, would be willing to change the lifestyle that they've got at the moment for being more connected with green spaces? How does one go from there to going from there? Because I mean, it seems to me that there's so much emphasis put on, hey, you can, and I've said it myself today. I've said, you can catch this show on Facebook or on YouTube. How do we get away from our streaming devices or our other devices and stick our head in a bush?
I think people are afraid of change, and especially when it isn't convenient to them as well, when you have to make inconvenient changes and go out of your way to think about something different. But it's definitely about meeting people where they're at, and just it's the small tangible steps.
I love that phrase.
Aaron, that was a phrase that I picked up from Aaron, so
thank you so much.
Credit's due. But yeah, but no, definitely. And I think even with something like the wood whistling clubs, even if that's not your thing, oh well, you got to go along, you met some new people, there's hot drinks, you got to have a chat. And if that's the socializing that you do for that week, then great. It was out in nature at least, and there was just a small change that you made that kind of benefited yourself and benefited the environment that day.
So if we're meeting people where they're at, are we basically saying we've got to go to online spaces and redirect them somewhere else?
Yeah, sometimes.
It's difficult to balance that, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think some of the events we've offered in the past have been like photography workshops outside, because where are you going to get a bare picture on the top of the hill, seeing the town as the sunsets? So yeah, you can mix the two. They don't have to be in two isolated clades. Instead, there is harmony.
And being online is such a resource, even right now, people listening in, watching on the live streams as well. And there's so many talks that like the Wildlife Trust puts on, where you join on Zoom, you join on Teams, and that's great because you could be talking to people from all over the country that otherwise you wouldn't be in a room with and you wouldn't be hearing from.
This is me, your host, Raheed Salam, on The Nature Show on Inspire FM. You can catch us on the website, or on the replay function. You can catch us on Facebook. You can catch us on YouTube. You can go to the Wildlife Trust website and see some of the amazing work they do. I know that Luton Borough Council, through Parks Division, shout out to my good friend Sam Willis, who does a lot of work with local people, refugees, single parents, homeschool children. There's a lot of different groups out there that experts in the field, local experts in the field, work with, and all of that is absolutely fantastic. And as South Asians who come from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Kashmir, and the like, about 75-80% of the GDP of these countries and vast swathes of these countries are green spaces. So this actually is our heritage, and this is the place where we come from. And so therefore, if you are going to be a Khalifa, if you are going to be that person who takes care of the green spaces here, then you do have an opportunity to reverse some of the disruption that's happening in nature and integrate into nature in terms of your own health and well-being, but also in terms of caring for nature and using that as an intercession. We've got 60 seconds, but 10 seconds each. Quickly, Talia, your message for how people should or could connect with nature and young and green spaces.
Just say that any step is worth it. Any step is important, even if it's small, even if it's just redirecting your route on the way home from work, cycling instead of taking the car, anything like that, and just being mindful and slowing down, looking at the bigger picture.
Walk, cycle, keep your eyes open. Aaron.
Small changes are sustainable changes. You can do it little by little, and when you look back and see the change you've made, you will be impressed.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I hope everybody really enjoyed listening to me. You can catch us on Facebook, YouTube, or on the replay function on the Inspire FM page. Next week, we're going to be talking about community engagement with the wonderful Matt Sutcliffe from Wildlife Trust. We will see you next Wednesday, 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock on The Nature Show. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.